quick video again, connecting off of the previous one that included Sexy Lexi and talking about ED. I remembered something that was really funny about that situation. After we stopped talking, me and her, and I was dating my new girlfriend. At the time, I was living on my college campus, or not college campus, the residence on my college campus. And we stopped talking towards the end of the school year. And so I was moving out looking for student housing. And lo and behold, who was my housemate who lived upstairs? It was Sexy Lexi. So that was an interesting situation because now I'm having my girl coming around and she's seeing all this, like all of it happening. And I was, I didn't really handle I guess the breakup very well because I just kind of like stopped texting her because I felt bad and it was immature what I did, 100%. I definitely should have handled it better, but it is what it is. So now she's my neighbor upstairs. But funny enough, it wasn't too bad. I just like kind of just was like whatever about it, but she kind of felt a little bit weird. But she tried to like seduce me a couple times, like while I was in the house. Like she would. I remember one time I came home and I walked in the front door, and she was going up the stairs to her room, and she like walked in a seductive way, moving her hips in front of me as I was following behind her. And I was like, whatever. Anyways, the topic of this video, I wanted to talk about how to converse with women or things that makes it easier for you. So what I do is I try to build a house with a conversation. So when you meet a new girl, right? She's a stranger. She doesn't know you don't know anything about her. She knows nothing about you. So the analogy of building a house and how you actually build a house is you start from the foundation and then you build to the top. So the foundation would be maybe you give a compliment. Start something small. Give a compliment about her outfit or like her shoes or something. But try to be genuine about it, like something that you actually like, something that stands out to you. So like maybe you could say, I like your dress. Where did you get it from? And then that's a topic you guys can talk about for a little bit. And then that's like the foundation. And then from there you go to the next level, which would be like her life, her family, her friends, her extended family, what she does for a living, her hobbies, her interests. So your next question could be, do you have any siblings? But like obviously by this time you've exchanged names and like pleasantries. Like I'm not just saying to just walk up to a girl and be like, do you have any siblings? No, so by now you already had like the back and forth dialogue, hey, how are you? What's your name? My name's this, my name's that. Yeah, so now you ask about maybe her family. Oh, do you have any siblings? If it's a lot, you ask her position. So like if she's the first, middle, or third, and then if she says like more than three, you'd be like, oh, your parents were getting busy, just cracking some jokes in there, making the conversation light, like, oh, your parents must have been getting busy, shit like that. And then after that, you ask if she's close with her siblings. See, these questions, they're not yes or no answers, right? So she will, well, that one is, but like after that, if she says yes, you could be like, oh, why are you guys so close? Like, were y'all close growing up? If she says no, you can ask why. And then she can give you further explanation. And then the more she's talking, the more she's feeling comfortable, the more the conversation is on her, the more she feels comfortable because she's talking and not thinking about the interaction. She's just talking. And yeah, so siblings. Then you ask about her parents, ask if they're close. If she says no, do the same. If she says no, do the same thing. If she says yes, you could be like, how do you guys bond? How do you guys stay close? That's another like 3 to 4 minutes of conversation. You know, you're building the house. You're building the house. So family, extended family could be a topic, and then you go into her hobbies, her interests. You could be like, what's a day in the life of Stephanie like? You know, she'd be like, oh, I wake up and I go to the gym and I do this and I do that. You could be like, oh, have you always been regimented, or is it something that you're just trying out now? Like, it's just like a new wave in your life. Some more conversation fuel, you know, building the house. So hobbies, her interests, her maybe her goals in the future could be another one, you know. Ideally, this would be like more like first date conversation. If it's the first interaction, you might want to just do the first level and then get her information and then, you know, walk away. I've made this mistake a couple times, but it's not really a mistake. It's just more like circumstance. Like, for example, at the club, like you're both in the same locale for the duration of the evening. So like you have nowhere to go. You know, like you could go back to your friends if you wanted to, but sometimes I'm like I've had a little bit to drink and I'm bored. I just feel like, you know, just talking. So I'll literally do the first date conversation while I'm at the club, which kind of is annoying because it ruins like not the flow, but like it ruins the system, because now those questions aren't valid anymore for when you see them outside the club. You know, but I talk to so many girls, it's just like, it's whatever. Like I might not even hear from her again. Like sometimes it just happens that way, or, you know, things just don't work out between us. So like, I'll go off script and have the first date conversation at the club. Just, you know, even just for practice, you know, getting more comfortable with talking to girls and building the foundation. So you just kind of build that muscle memory, so it doesn't feel so not abnormal. What's the word? It doesn't feel so, you know, uncomfortable. You get more adept with it. You become to be more smooth, and you transition through conversations easier, and follow-up questions will start coming up to you easier because you've been there, you've done that. And so it just becomes like muscle memory, you know. And then yeah, so I'll just keep going. You know, you can take out what works for you and what doesn't, and, you know, implement your own things, but this is just a template. And so where was I was in interest in hobbies, where she sees herself like maybe what her goals like would be, like what would be her. You could ask questions like, oh, if you could choose any job that you want to do, like what would you do? Like, you know, like something that you'd be excited to do every day when you wake up. Like what would it be? That's another like 5-10 minutes, you know. And then some topics are so interesting to them that they'll even branch off into different things, and then they might be able to ask you some questions as well that you can also bounce back, and then you build like a 30-minute conversation off of just one question, you know. And then, you know, you keep maneuvering, you keep digging, and you keep finding new things to talk about. And yeah, so that's another level where she sees herself in the next couple of years or something. Like if she wants kids is a good topic. If she's thought of any kid names is a good topic, you know. If she wants a boy or girl first, you know, stuff like that. Her feelings about marriage, but not like that's a tricky one, because you don't want to like imply that you're thinking that far ahead. But like, if the conversation is flowing in the right way with the right energy, you can pretty much ask anything, because there isn't like a tension about like if you're qualifying her for marriage. It's just like, oh, like what do you think about, like, you ever thought, like, what do you think about marriage? Because You know what? I don't know. That's a tricky one. Use that one at your own discretion, because it is tricky. Because you don't want to imply like, oh, I'm thinking about marrying you. It's just you're just talking, you know. So it is tricky. But yeah. So that's another one. You can ask them, oh, like what were you like in high school? Were you a popular kid? Were you a loner? Like, did you have a glow up outside of high school, or were you like just as pretty as you are now in high school? Stuff like that. You know, things that make them think about easier times in their life when life was a little bit more fun. So that's another topic you could ask. Um, what else could you ask? Uh, well, the whole vibe of the conversation, it should feel like you are just generally getting to know them on a deeper level more than surface level conversations, and like that you're trying to be present, and a little pinch of it being like a interview for a position, because girls like when they have to earn your energy and attention and affection. So you should also make it feel like you're kind of a little bit probing for like compatibility. You know, you don't want to seem like you just take in any girl no matter what. You want to make it seem like you have standards. So what I also do is I ask if she goes to the gym, because that's a big thing for me. I broke up with my previous girlfriend because she refused to go to the gym. And I told her, you have the body that every girl is in the gym working out for. So imagine if you actually, took care of yourself, because I'm thinking long term, like, all right, you're taking advantage of what your body is like now, but then once you get to a certain age, it'll be hard to build that habit of going to the gym. And I remember one day at the beach, we went to the beach with our friends, and I'm over here looking all tight, keeping my stuff together, and she looked like off, and I was like, ugh, that shit pissed me off, because whenever they say, oh yeah, I want a man who makes this much, who's tall, who drives a car and can provide, that's like their standards. That's what they expect from a man. And to come to a woman without some of those things is almost disrespectful, because you're like, you can't provide anything for them. And then in turn, in the male perspective, keeping your appearance up to par is the same equivalent, because we want to be seen with a good looking woman. We don't want to be seen with you know? So it's like, that's important to me. And like, you make it clear, like what you expect out of them. So I asked, like, do you go to the gym? Do you work out? Do you have plans to work out? Like, stuff like that. So you're kind of walking on a tightrope between keeping it light and fun, but also trying to like insinuate a little bit that you're like checking, like, okay, I can get with that, or oh, I don't agree with that. Don't be afraid to disagree with them either. That's good. It shows that you're like a regular guy, because most guys they're just gonna agree with everything they say, which is inauthentic, and they'll sense that, and it won't work. And you have to be afraid. You have to not be afraid of losing them, because if you lose them over something they disagree about, that's a good thing. Like, okay, it shows that you have boundaries and you have self-respect, that you don't just go for anything. I actually lost a really, really gorgeous girl recently because we had a conversation about male attention and gym attire, and I was like, well, I asked her like if she goes to the gym, and like I asked her like what she wore, but honestly, I really it was kind of dumb on my part, but I was just trying to show that I have um not boundaries, but I guess expectations about a girl that I'm dealing with. But in hindsight, I really don't care about what women wear to the gym. Like, yeah, they'll get looked at, you know, and yeah, they might be doing it as much as they say that they're doing it for themselves. They're most likely doing it for the attention that they get, but they put it under the guise of, oh, I want to show my body, I worked out hard for my body. But it's like, yeah, there's a time and a place. Like, don't don't wear fucking leggings and whatnot at the gym where you're doing awkward positions and bending over and stuff like that. I mean, like if you're going out in the world and you want to wear a dress that's tight, no problem. But that's fine because you're not gonna be bending over and squatting. Like that's cool. But then I really don't. It's not that big a deal to me. It's not a deal breaker. But we had a disagreement about that, and she was like, "No, I don't agree. I think you should be able to wear what you want. It's their problem if they're looking." That's what she said. Like she was very like stout about it. She had like a very tough energy about it, and I was like, I guess we have to agree to disagree. So I was thinking that, yeah, we disagreed, but I don't really care about it. I didn't tell her that though, but in her mind, she's thinking, oh, like this is going to be a problem in the future. I was just like, I disagree, but like, do what you want. I didn't say that, but I was thinking that, but then we spoke like a couple of days later after the date, and she's like, oh, I think we have different mindsets, and that, I don't agree with what you said about your comments about gym attire and male attention. And I called her bluff, or I attempted to, because I thought that she was doing that to see if I would fold. She was doing it to see if I'd be like, oh no, I'm fine, I don't care, like it's okay, like you can wear what you want. And that is how I felt a little bit, but because of how she presented it, like, okay, like it's between, like, I don't like what you said, and I don't think we should we can talk because of this. I thought she was trying to like force me into like folding into her frame. So I tried to call her bluff, but then she actually ended it, and she was like, I was just like, no, what did I say? I said I don't think anything I said was unreasonable, but if this is what you want, then I'm cool with it, and it was very nice to meet you. So I was trying to call her bluff, because I didn't think that she actually really cared, like, or would actually end our relationship, because it was our first date, but end our, because of this. So I called her bluff, and then she also said it was nice to meet you too. And now we're done talking. Who knows, in the future, maybe she'll not come to her senses, but she'll reconsider. Because like, I mean, I'm not wrong. Like, yeah, like you can say it's the guy's problem to not be a creep, and but it's like you're in a public place, like come on. Like, like what would it kill you to just wear something else that's not like that? I see other girls do it. It's not a big deal. But I think she really just she likes the attention. She liked the attention. She was a sweet girl, very, very, very sweet. So she was so sweet for the way that she looked, because girls that look like her are not like that. Like I remember the night before our date, I hit her up, and I was just like trying to hit her up for some conversation, because trying to keep a rapport going throughout the wait for the in-person meeting. And she told me, or she asked me, are we still good for tomorrow? Which is the bare minimum, but like a lot of girls that look like her aren't doing that. So the fact that she was like forthcoming and was like, she was sweet, very, very sweet girl. She didn't have any attitude about her, she was generally like a good girl, but because of that one little dispute that we had over her liking attention at the gym, she thought it warranted us breaking off whatever we had. So, you live and you learn. Who knows, maybe because I held my frame, she'll respect that, and maybe with age, she'll come to see my side of it, and maybe she'll come back. It happens. So, but yeah, just like I wasn't willing to compromise my stance just to keep her around. I would have lost respect in her eyes if I was like, oh yeah, Like, it's fine. Even though that's how I felt, I don't think I wasn't willing to break it off because of that. I was just saying to her, like, I think you're doing it for attention, and that the fact that you're so defensive about it is showing your youth. Because she was like, what? She's like 4 years younger than me. I was like, you're showing your youth right now. Like, you're being, you know, because older women know, like, respectable older women know, like, all right, I shouldn't be wearing this right now. I should be wearing something else. If you want to wear a nice, like, tight dress on a night out, that's fine. You're going out. You're not going to be squatting and bending over. So, like, it's fine. But at the gym, it's like, all right. But yeah. So yeah, yeah. So conversation building. Shit. Where was I? Yeah, I think I gave a lot of examples. Oh yeah, and you could also ask about religion, or not religion. You ask if she believes in God and a higher power, and then that'll be another conversation topic. And if it's a yes, or if it's a yes, then awesome. That's good. She believes in something, because that shows her character. Because I mean, she's living her life, or trying to live her life in a way that would honor the higher power and respect the higher power. None of us are perfect, but to strive for it is respectable. And if she says no, then you could say, what I usually say is, why, or I ask, why don't you believe? And they'll say something along the lines of, oh, I prayed when I was younger for God to help me, and he didn't come, or he didn't help me, and something like that. And then, which is fair. I was also an atheist at one point, because I tried to demand God to do something for me, but it's like, that's not how things work. God is not your, he's not your tool to use. He's alive, and he's orchestrating things in your life so that the good and the bad will benefit you in the long run. So the thing that you're praying for him to take away might be a tool that he's using to sharpen you and forge you. So you can't pray away those things. You have to pray for the strength to deal with them. And yeah, but then also say something like, oh, like, there's too much order in the universe for there not to be a creator. And I'll be like, think about the Wi-Fi you have in your home. Do you think Wi-Fi could just exist on its own? It's the Wi-Fi that's connected to everything in your home. It can't just, come into existence. It has to be created. It has to be forged and put together. Now think about the whole universe. That's way more complex than the Wi-Fi router. There was someone that was tinkering. There's day, there's night, there's hot, there's cold, there's wet, there's dry, there's boy, there's girl, even sex. The fact that it's a puzzle piece, like the pieces fitting together. The water cycle. It rains, the rain falls, the water evaporates, it makes clouds. It's a cycle. It's a system. Right? What else? Just a lot of things in the seasons. All the seasons work in tandem with each other. It's a cycle. This is my favorite one. If we're 5 inches closer to the sun, we burn. If we're 5 inches further away from the sun, we freeze to death. Or not 5 inches, but how many the metric is. And so we're in the Goldilocks zone. So we're perfectly positioned in a way that we have enough heat and enough cold to survive. So that means someone fine-tuned us, or fine-tuned the universe and put it together. That's like how I would, But then don't do it in a preachy way. Just do it in a way that shows your conviction, and why they should reconsider, but potentially maybe this would be like the seed that you plant in them to reconsider. But don't be trying to like preach, and then don't try to talk down on them because they don't believe and you believe, because that's pushing them further away. And so that's another good topic. Talk about if they believe in God, And then yeah, by that time you should have at least like 2 hours of conversation, and that's like the ideal time for a first date. 2.5, 3 hours. um yeah, so that's conversations with women. Yeah. Peace. Have a good one. God bless.